Hello, my name's Dalgliesh. I work at Bendigo Kangan Institute, working at the Food and Fibre Department on Bendigo campus. And for the last 6 years, I've been working in the agriculture, horticulture and conservation land management space, or AHC, specialising in sustainability and sustainable work practices. I became aware of the ISS through a colleague. And so in 2021, I put in an application and was very successful and was fortunate travelling earlier this year. I travelled in May 2022, just after the opening up after COVID. I suppose it resonated within myself because on my own journey with regards to sustainability, I was working in Singapore in a fashion magazine of all things. Through a mishap in checking the printing, we actually printed the back cover on a slightly different colour to what it was wanted by their client. That went to production and was distributed across Singapore and Malaysia until the client saw the production. The whole lot was taken from the shelves and had to have a reprint at the scale of tens of thousands. My initial feelings was around the area of dry reaching, to be quite honest. That moment, I apologised, I recognised, I learned from that experience not to be so flippant when checking errors. But it also said to me that this is just crazy, that for the slight change in colour, we are prepared to take everything off the production line and run it again. And that to me said that there was something seriously wrong, either with me or with the industry. So it was easier to change my path. So the places I chose to visit in Northern Europe or Scandinavia were communities and cities that were of a similar ethos to Bendigo and a similar size and relationship to food and food supply systems. Aware, Bendigo was recently awarded UNESCO City of Gastronomy, and that was very fortuitous to introducing me to a community in northern Sweden, Östersund, who is also one of our sister cities as a city of gastronomy. I visited a city in Germany dedicated to the principles or the practices of cognitive behavioural therapy, and was talking to a lecturer there around attitudes to agriculture and food production systems. Also to a city in Western Netherlands, Ada, a small community that is in the final stages of developing a world food centre. I visited south of Sweden, a city called Helsingborg, Helsingborg in the months of May, June and July had opened up the whole of the city as a sustainability expo. The range and the detail to sustainability was quite inspiring, and probably when I reflect upon it, one of the greater aspects of my travel with regards to how to start to develop resources for an educational context. Coming back to Australia, there were some gaps in the workplace. As a teacher, there's certainly a lot of opportunity for developing resources for education and supporting teachers to develop their own resources as well. So quite often teachers will already have the examples of a sustainability activity or teaching element, but they don't have the backing of the organisation so that they can actually deliver that. We're in the industry of teaching and education, and so our teachers need to be able to work in a space that allows them to deliver environmentally sustainable practices. An organisation will be doing things like putting solar panels on a roof, dealing with waste resources, efficiencies in water. Each of those that organisation will be having projects based need to recognise that those can become educational resources as well. So that when you're putting solar panels on a roof, for example, will that platform be something that a teacher can then use in the classroom so as to educate students around sustainability? So it's important that we have that holistic approach to the way that we move forward as an organisation, but also as an educational institution in supporting teachers in their workplace. With a Cert 4 student cohort, we worked with the organisation and we started making a compost. You know, future generations don't have the pristine water, they don't have the virgin forests, they don't have the abundance of natural resources that previous generations had. And so we need to become a lot more creative and lateral, innovative. What we saw as green waste, we now recognise is a resource for compost or a worm farm or a weed tea. We start to explore but also encourage and approach it with enthusiasm. You know, the last 2 years post-COVID, we are starting to see a real change. And again, that's one of the indicators for myself that now was the time to do some research. You're never too old to start learning. And so the ISS opportunity really galvanised for me that ability that I can bring something of value to vocational education.